Thank you for joining me in my yard today and tuning into my channel on Modern Living. Today I was going to talk to you about my canna lilies because, oh my gosh, I am so impressed with these variegated canna lilies. Now they're getting a little past, the leaves are getting a little brown, and so they're just about at the end of their season, but holy cow, they have just performed and performed all summer long. They've gotten so big, and I absolutely love their variegated leaf. Now, here's the scoop. A couple years ago, I was on vacation, actually in Chicago. It was about this time of year, actually, and I was wandering around downtown while my husband was at a trade show, and I came across a garden that had these beautiful canna lilies in it, and I sent my brother Kevin a picture because he's the grower at our greenhouse here on Ridge, and I said to him, we have to find these canna lilies. They're fantastic. They're just so robust and so showy. So he found them for me. They're a variety called Pretoria, Pretoria. They are a little bit more of a specialty bulb canna lily than what you see in a lot of different garden centers, but they're so cool. I just love them. There is a different version of this series that's also a variegated leaf, a red variegated leaf, but I don't find it grows as robustly. Funny enough, now that I've found them and I've started growing them, I start to see them everywhere. Last weekend I was out for dinner in London, and the patio at the Keg has a whole bunch of these around the outside of the patio. And the variegated limey green ones versus the red ones were much bigger, much fuller, and had great flowers on them. So I've definitely grown to love these, and I'll be growing them again. The cool part about these canna lilies is you can dig up the bulbs in the fall and save them. They will not winter over outside. They're not hardy like a tulip or a daffodil. They're more like, think of them like a gladiola bulb. You have to dig them up in the fall and then start them again the next year. So these two actually I got out of my bulb from last year. So last year, like I said, I got Kevin to grow them. They're beautiful. I brought home two in two different patio pots, and then I dug up the bulbs and saved them. This year I went to plant them I planted them early because I have a greenhouse I can start them in, but you could just start them to have them outside. You just have to wait longer. But I think I got a dozen plants. I planted a dozen pieces of bulb, and I got 10 of them to germinate. So I thought that was pretty good. Out of 2, I got 10. So I planted all 10. So I'm going to have quite a few this year, but I'm not sure I'm going to save them all. But I'm going to certainly dig up these two. I've got there's 2 here. Maybe I didn't have quite 10. There's, I think, 4, 6 in the front. So I have about 8 different ones that I planted out of those 2 bulbs. So I'm going to dig these up. This planter I'm not ready to take apart yet because the begonias still look so good, and I just love it. So even though the canna lilies are getting a little browned off, I'm going to trim these dead stalks out of here and leave that planter for a little bit till we have some frost that really does it in. But today I thought I would take this planter box to the garden and show you how I'm going to save the bulbs, because it's just kind of meh. The begonias in here aren't doing well, and I'm not really fond of this inch plant. I might take a few cuttings and save it to start it in the house, but other than that, I'm kind of over it. It's kind of done its thing. There are a couple more spikes here though. Okay, I think I'm going to sacrifice those spikes just so I can show you how to dig up a canna lily bulb. I'm going to drag this big box over to the garden, and I'll meet you over there, and I'll show you how I pull it apart to save them. Okay. After considerable effort, I've managed to pull this box down to my garden. Holy Louie, it's heavy. I had no idea. Okay, so first step, I brought it here because this is my vegetable garden. This was where the sweet corn was. Sweet corn's passed. It's been plowed under. So I don't care if I leave soil behind here. It's going to be messy, okay? So wherever you do this job, make sure you don't care if there's soil all over the place afterwards. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dump the box out. I'm going to cut off all the green portions of the plant, and I'm going to clean off the bulb as much as possible. So let's get started. There's going to be so many roots in here. It's a big box. It's really heavy. Did I mention it's really heavy? Okay. Oh, I'm coming. Oh, okay. This is a water saver box. Love these boxes. Highly recommend them. They've got a platform in the bottom as a water reservoir, except this one's got a hole in it. That doesn't work so good. Well, when they work awesome. There's supposed to be no holes here, and they're supposed to hold a couple gallons of water. So I guess I'll be buying a new box next year. But anyway, great product. Love it. Oh my goodness. Check out all the roots. I just broke another little piece. No, I guess that wasn't plastic. These are the roots on the bottom of this box. Holy cow. This is a very good growing window box. So I'm going to just pull all these roots out of here. Okay. Now you can see here, these are the tubers for the canna lily. There's the plastic insert that goes in the bottom of there. Okay, we're getting down to the meat of this. There really is no easy way to go about this. You just got to start ripping. So obviously I don't want to damage the bulbs, but all this extra stuff, these begonias, this inch plant, really not important. I'm going to try to get as much off of here as I can. Okay. This is a big box. This is going to be a bit of a job. Hope you don't mind hanging out for a bit. I'm just going to pull this away. So as you can see here, canna lilies spread underneath the ground. So even though all the stalks are up over here, this canna lily here had no green part coming out of it, but it's starting to develop a piece here that's going to grow up. That's why when you plant 1 or 2 bulbs, they turn into so many plants because they spread widthwise. The bulbs multiply. So that's why, even though I really only planted 1 plant in this planter, it turned into so much more. Okay, I'm going to roll it over and work it opening up the other side. Oh! Just working away to try to get as much of the dirt or out of it around it as I can until I cut the tops off. It's just easier to move when I've got the tops to flip it around with. But these are all going to get cut off today, okay? Anything that's tall and green. I think I'm just about there now, actually. And I'm going to have to break this apart some more. So I'm just going to cut these. Like I said, the tall green stems have to go. They can't stay for the winter anyways. Oh, I should have grabbed a sharper shovel. Oh, well. Okay. So clearly I need to go grab a different spade because this isn't going to cut through. But this is what I mean by saving a tuber. So, I'm going to clean this up. I'll be right back. I'm just going to go find a clippers. And I'm going to trim that off better. Okay, be right back. I couldn't find the shovel I wanted, but these clippers are actually really sharp and they'll do a great job. I'm just going to cut it off real low. Okay, so that's what I want to save. I want this to get as cleaned up as possible. I want to get rid of as much of that muddy dirt as I can. And that's going to be stored in my basement the same way I'm going to store my potatoes and my carrots, okay? I want it to be in a cool space that's relatively dry. I don't want to put it in a plastic bag because I don't want it to rot or like mold or anything like that. So I'll probably either go into a paper bag or into a cardboard box, something like that. And I have a cold storage in my basement. You don't have to have a cold storage, but you do want to find somewhere, like I said, cool and dark that won't freeze, okay? So you can't put it in your garage unless your garage is heated, okay? So that's what we're going to do. Let's see how many we get here. There's one. Oh, getting these guys apart is something, let me tell you. They are really in here, and they're all grown together like little elastic or little spaghetti knots. It's crazy. Ah, there we go. Look at that. Okay, I got 2 more out. Now you're going to have to break them apart. They're so big. I'm going to cut this off first so I can break it apart in a second. And I'm sad because this is the one that has a flower stem on it. Oh well. Next year, little flower. Next year. Oh, these things are so big. Oh my gosh. I feel like I need an axe. Okay. The struggle's real, folks. Struggle's real. Okay, so even though this breaks apart, that's okay, because I'm pretty sure both halves of this are going to grow. That's why you get so many, because one bulb becomes lots of pieces and they all grow. Okay. Woo! This is a job. Like I said, very messy. Now, I'll probably leave this together over the winter, but honestly, in the spring, I'm going to have to break that in half because I started them in 6-inch pots last year, and there is no way that's going into a 6-inch pot. So I'm going to leave it for the winter, but I'll probably end up breaking it in half at least one more time. Maybe I'll even break it into 3, we'll see, to get it into the pot next spring. Any of this residual of the plant that was sticking out in the ground, that's going to die off. So I'll definitely do a follow-up next spring when I go to plant these guys. But yeah, that's what I'm working at. Okay, let's see. How many more can I get out of here? Oh, this last guy is huge because he's got all the leftovers on him of everybody else. So I'm going to do my best to get as much dirt off him as I can. I may even leave them outside on the lawn for a day or two just to let them dry up a bit so I don't take, because this soil's really wet and I don't really want to take all that moisture with them into the basement, or I'm really afraid they won't store very well. So I'm going to leave them, I think, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave them outside on the lawn for another day or two, let some of this earth on here dry up. I don't think I want to rinse them off. I don't want to do that. I want to leave some residual soil there. I'm okay with that, but I don't want to get it to be so wet. So I'm going to leave them outside, let them dry up, and then I'm going to put them in the basement. I have a couple clay pots that I got one clay pot that I can't leave outside. So usually when it goes to the basement, I put them inside that clay pot to store them because it has to go in there anyway. And I just kind of forget about them till about, I think I planted these around the 2nd of March in the greenhouse. If you're planting them outside, I would wait till the middle of May. It'll just take them longer to flower. They won't be quite as big if you plant them later, but they'll still be fine. It'll just take them a little longer till they get those blooms. Okay, so let's see. I dug up one. Let's see how many I think I got here. Like I said, that's going to be 2. This is for sure 3, probably 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 chunks of bulb out of one Canna Lily plant that I planted way back in the spring. So if you've planted a Canna Lily, now I'm not sure that all varieties of Canna Lilies can be dug up and stored, but I'd encourage you to give it a try. If you've got any interest at all in growing things, it's not a hard activity to do. Like I said, a bit messy, so definitely consider where you're going to take it apart. I wouldn't recommend your kitchen table, but if you've got a spot outside that you can tear your pots apart, or if you've planted one in the ground, just dig it up and shake all that dirt off and store it. And I would love to hear if you've had some success doing that. Leave me a comment, send me a message. I'd love to hear about your experience in growing Canna Lilies, and I hope you've learned a thing or two, and I would love it if you'd hit that subscribe button and join me in my unmodern living adventure. Thanks so much. Have a great day.